everybody, welcome back. So today I am doing my weekly reading wrap-up or reading vlog for September 26th. So these are all the books that I finished. I guess finished last week, what I'm reading right now, and what I plan to pick up next as we're getting to the end of the month. So I finished 8 books this week, so I did pretty good. The first book that I finished, I finally got through Furies of Calderon by Jim Butcher. This is the first book in the Codex Alaris series, and we follow Octavia. So Octavia is someone who does not have what they call a Fury, and this Fury is like an elemental spirit who gives you certain abilities and does certain things for you. And he really wants one, but he hasn't been able to get one, and he's trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life since he can't have a Fury, or he hasn't been able to get a Fury. He lives on a farm with his uncle and his aunt, and he comes across this supposed slave who turns out is a spy for the emperor, and that there is an army coming to destroy them, and that they all need to band together and fight against this army, or they're all going to die. I know the premise was somehow tied to like Romans and Pokemon. I guess the Furies were supposed to be the Pokemon. And it was actually pretty good. I did enjoy this. It was different than a lot of fantasies that I've read. And so I guess that's why I thought, well, it is something different. I think it's definitely worth a read. The next book that I finished was Of Dawn and Darkness by Wight. And this is the second book in the Elder Empire series. There's like 2 companion trilogies, so this is the second one in the C trilogy. In this series, the magic is based on being able to give objects certain abilities, or the ability to do their job better. So you might give wood the ability to float better so that it makes a better boat. And there are elders, which I guess are like great beings. Some people worship them, some people are really afraid of them and think that we need to find some way to stay away from them and possibly get rid of them or kill them if you can. And so we have these kind of 2 different focuses on them. One saying like, oh, we need to get in touch with the elders, even though the elders, most of them don't want anything to do with people. There's a couple that like to manipulate people. Most of them don't get involved. They want to be involved with the elders. The next book that I finished was Drugs of Abuse, The Process of Addiction Treatment and Recovery, and this is by Landry. And this is just kind of a basic overview of addiction and treatment. It is outdated. I think it was written in '94, so unfortunately a lot of the information there is a little old, but it did have good basic information of drug use, drug abuse, and just kind of basic treatment. The next book that I finished was The Crown Tower by Michael J. Sullivan, and this is the first book in the Ryaria Chronicles. And this book we follow Rice and Hadrian, and I guess this is supposed to be like how they met, and apparently they didn't like each other when they met, and they were sent on this errand in order to kind of bring them closer together, because there were certain people who felt like they needed to meet each other, they needed to become friends, because it was going to change the world. I've read some in this world, but this is the first time with Royce and Hadrian, so I guess I thought it was just kind of a fun adventure. It's a little bit deeper than that, and I can certainly see how a friendship could come out of what they're going through. The next book that I finished was called Protect the Prince by Jennifer Estep. This is the second book in the Crown of Shards series. There is a royal massacre where the entire royal family is wiped out except for one person, because she is secretly immune to magic. And so when they tried to attack her, it didn't work. But she hasn't told anybody she's immune, so she went into hiding, and she's trying to get her crown back. So the second book will say that there's some assassination, either attempts or they're completed. And the second book is all about several assassination, either attempts or completed assassinations. I won't say which. I like this pretty good. It was okay. I actually would have liked it a lot more if it didn't have one of my least favorite things that they do in books, when it's lying to people that you love in order to protect them. That's just cruel, mean. It does not help build better relationships. It does not really protect people. It just end up putting people more in danger, and then sacrificing parts of their relationship because of that, because now they've lost the trust in their relationship. So it was good except for that. I have to say that I believe this is considered like a YA series, but it certainly like walks the line of what's YA and adult for certain parts of it. The next book that I finished was Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. This is the first book in the Something Dark and Holy series. This is a YA fantasy, and I'll say that it didn't quite go as I expected. The girl who talks to the gods, she's a cleric. Her power comes from the gods. Then you have your antagonist, who is the prince, who does blood magic, which is, according to the clerics, he's a heretic. As normal YA tropes go, you would think, hey, these two are going to fall in love. Although it is just the first one in the series. So there were a lot of things in here that didn't quite go the way that I expected. However, it was YA novel. It was pretty predictable. Like I said, it just started. So more than likely these two will couple, because that's my prediction for the series. I could not pronounce any of the names in the series. I believe this is, well, it's based on Slavic mythology, and the names were all really long and had lots of consonants and not a lot of vowels. Nadia was the main character. That's probably the only name that I could pronounce even close to right. Alright, so this was actually pretty good for a young adult novel. I have the second book in the series, so I do plan to continue. The next book that I picked up was Chaosbound by David Farland, and this is the 8th book in the Rune Lord series. I have to say, like, this one and the one before, it really kind of has that middle book feel, where it's just like trying to get to the end. And it was still pretty good, and actually I think maybe it would have been nice if the author had put this one and the last one together, because they were both pretty short, and fantasy, we like our big long books, and I think this one could have easily fit in with the other one, because it seems to take place similarly in the timeline. The Magic in the Rune Lord series, in order to get certain attributes, they are taken from other people. So if you want to be beautiful, you take your beauty from someone else. If you want to be strong, you take strength from someone else. And the delegates, who are the people who are giving these attributes, they lose that. So someone who's strong, who gives their strength, is now really weak. They have to have someone carry them around because they have no strength. Someone who gives up their voice now can't speak. Someone who gives up their sight can't see. So they make a big sacrifice. So the magic comes at a big cost. Right, and then the last book that I finished was called No Mercy by John Gilstrap, and this is the first book in the Jonathan Graves series. This is another of my attempts to find a spy novel that is decent, and like, it wasn't horrible. It was okay. I mean, it did not have an annoying romance, so that was fun. And it was about, I guess he's not really a spy, but he is somebody that people call to have problems solved for them if it has to go outside of legal realms. So he's working a case where he was hired to free a rich man's son from kidnappers. Turns out that case got to be a lot bigger than he thought. It ended up getting his ex-wife and her new husband killed. And so now Jonathan Grave, or Scorpion, trying to figure it out, who's killed them and why, and what he's going to do about it. So as far as spy type novels, this one was okay. Like I said, there was no annoying romance. So those are all the books that I finished this week. Now I'll talk about what I'm currently reading. So currently I'm reading Of Kings and Killers by Will Wright. This is the third book in the Elder Empire C trilogy. So I'll be finishing that up. The next one that I'm currently reading is The King Beyond the Gate by David Gemmell. And this is the second book in the Draenei saga. And this is, it happened several years after the Legends book. And it is, so there was battle, there was, I guess, kind of one survivor, and he's now going out for revenge. I am also still listening to Master of Sorrows by Justin Travis Call with my children, and this is the first book in the Silent God series, and it is a kind of the chosen one trope. It's kind of a little bit twisted as far as he's supposed to be the ultimate bad guy instead of the good guy. The more we get into it, the more we're enjoying it. Next I picked up Clay's Ark by Octavia Butler, and this is the third book in the Pattern Master series, and this is pretty short. I should get through it fairly soon. This series is about some immortals who are having this kind of human breeding program to make humans with special attributes, and in this one apparently you bring aliens into the mix. So far it's not too bad, it's different. So those are the books that I'm currently reading and listening to. So now I'll get into the books that I plan to pick up next. It's getting to the end of the month, so whatever I pick up is just going to be short. But it's going to pick up The Heart of What Was Lost by Ted Williams. I'm getting ready to continue this series. The Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, that 4-book series, this is kind of the continuation in that world. So these are the Orson Ard world, and this is supposed to be like several years after, but I am looking at reading the Witchwood Crown soon, so I wanted to get this done first. Also, I'll probably pick up some manga. So I have Komi Can't Communicate 7 and 8. I think I'll also plan to pick up Bird Box by Joss Malerman, and I believe this is about monsters that manipulate the world so you can't trust what you see, so you have to go around blindfolded. So I'll see what that's about, kind of get me into spooky fall season. And then the last book that I'll pick will be The 5 Tribes by Brian Nelson, and this is the Course of Empire, the second book. This is a science fiction about a, I guess, genetically evolved virus that you can control. So they're kind of controlling who it kills. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. So those are the books that I'm currently reading. That's what I finished. That's what I plan to pick up next. It's the end of the month, so some of those I might not pick up because I might be starting my books for next month. But thank you all for watching, and if you liked the video, please like and subscribe.